Welcome to Muscles and Malarkey, a podcast about all things strength, fitness, and fun. I'm your host, Mary. Today's episode is all about strength in every sense of the word. I'm joined by Madeline, a high-level powerlifter who's not only crushing it on the platform, but also making waves as an advocate for inclusivity in the sport. We talk about her journey into lifting, her newer venture into trail running, and how she balances both worlds. It's a fun, real conversation that highlights why strength is for all bodies. Enjoy. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
To start off with, I was really curious, how did you get into fitness? Like, where does that start for you?
I played team sports a lot as a kid growing up, focusing mainly on soccer and what else was interesting in high school. I was on the golf team and they demoted me to JV, which they didn't even have a JV team, but they didn't want me to travel with them to games or matches. I don't even know what you call them. So I was the JV team for golf. So, I don't excel at everything, but when I was 20, I got a gym membership to the YMCA and I just sort of messed around with the machines, played like wall ball or whatever in the things. The YMCA is great. Then I dabbled a little bit in CrossFit in my early 20s, but I just did not like how fast you had to be, like the different movements. I think it's pretty well known now that there's like a high injury rate, all that. It wasn't really for me. So I just kind of focused mainly on the Olympic lifting and squatting. And I didn't have a coach. I was just kind of looking at other people and trying to mimic. But then one day at the YMCA, this guy, a stranger, came up to me and was like, "Can you film me squatting?" And I was like, "All right, weirdo." And so he does like a set of 5. And I'm like, what in the world is this guy going to do with a video of 5 squats? By then I had never had a coach, like an online coach or anything like that. I asked him, I was like, what do you're just squatting? And so he told me about powerlifting. And I was like, that sounds perfect. And so I ended up signing up for my first meet that year with him. He is one of my best friends now. His name is Rolando. He got me into powerlifting.
What year was this?
I think my first meet was 2013 or 2014.
I had a feeling that you were an OG. I had a feeling that was the case.
Yeah, my first meet, it was Team Phoenix. I think they might still be doing it. I don't know. It was in Washington and it was just in some like high school basketball gym. I didn't wear knee sleeves or anything, it was just like, looking back, it's so cute. Yeah, I just stuck with it. And now obviously all I do is post squat videos on Instagram.
You're in great company, trust and believe.
Yeah. Now I couldn't imagine another life.
I wanted to pull up your open powerlifting because usually I have that pulled up for my guests that I have on. And damn girly, that's a 12/6/2014 and it was a USAPL meet.
Yeah, back when there was only probably a couple of federations.
Yes. Your first competition was like 11-12 years ago.
Yeah.
That's wild. This man who you filmed squatting 5 reps, he got you into powerlifting.
Yeah, he did. We'll have Rolando to thank.
But shout out to people like Rolando, though, right? I think it's so important that you be open to people, and introduce people to the sport in a positive way, because it's a pretty cool sport, right?
I love being there for someone's first meet, or being there as part of their introduction to this sport, because it can really go so many different paths for someone, depending on where you lift, when you started, who's around you, if you have a coach, who your influences are. And it can be too late sometimes if you get stuck in a funnel or something. So I really like being there for for someone's like introduction into powerlifting, and especially if they're aware of what strength sports can be and how full of like red pill manosphere kind of stuff, when they can recognize that there are opportunities out there for them to enter the sport with people who align with them, politically, who are going to support them and their identity and how they show up in this sport, then I think that's really wonderful. And it's not something that everyone gets. So
That's a very important topic I want to touch on. Was that when it kind of came into play, is when you started powerlifting and that was something that you became, very passionate about?
in about 2016, a friend and we started I always forget about this, but we started a women's powerlifting team at the CrossFit gym that we were both training in. And it was small, but we trained them for a first mock meet. That was in 2016. And then I think in 2019, that same friend, she invited me to help her for a women's strength summit. And so I was the meet director for a powerlifting meet as part of that weekend. Yeah, that meet, that was great. That was my first. It was unsanctioned. It was inclusive. Yeah, it was just so fun. And there were people from all over the country who had come into town for the summit and to be a part of the powerlifting meet. And I have made lifelong friends from there all over the country. And then the next year in 2020, with that same friend, we had a powerlifting meet in Portland, Oregon. And so that was incredible. It was right after the start of COVID. So looking back, it was a lot of people. That experience, it just gets you hooked because it's just such a high. Seeing people just show up on the platform, and they wouldn't have been able to do a lot of that on a sanctioned platform just because of, we have to know what's your gender, different exclusionary policies, weight class things. We didn't have any of those, and people still able to show up and squat, bench, and deadlift to standard and hit some PRs, and emotions are just, everything's just so exciting and charged. And now in the Pacific Northwest, I think it is so wonderful seeing the culture of inclusive powerlifting competitions. If you need to have an inclusive event, or if you want to participate in an inclusive event, there's always something every season in the Pacific Northwest. And I just think that is so wonderful. The two events that my friend and I, who have Strength for All Bodies, that we've had in Denver, have just been wonderful. We've raised thousands of dollars for queer organizations, and we've had people just show up and just have a really good time on the platform and a really good time watching and supporting the event as well. I would say that, yeah, around 2019, just really catching that bug of, wow, inclusive powerlifting, it can be done. People love it. That's been a big part of my journey since then.
Those two were the Strength for All Bodies meets.
Yeah.
I think it's important for people to be able to show up authentically in spaces, right? Mm-hmm. And there is nothing wrong with anyone who wants to come on a platform and lift heavy shit. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I want to compete with people, and there's still competition. It's not like, hey guys, we're all going to hang out and like sing Kumbaya. It's like, no, I'm still here to lift a lot of weight and do some impressive shit.
Yeah. And I think sometimes it could just be so much more. Like powerlifting can be so much more than what it is, just in the box that it exists in sanctioned events. Like, yeah, it can be a competition. It can be a showcase. It can be whatever kind of like meet vibe you want it to be. Yeah, my dream is to have an event like this, but in Denver, and just have some of the nation's strongest people also competing. You can put that on open powerlifting. If you're the meet director, you can do that.
You're mentioning like some of the top powerlifters. You are pretty impressive with your lifts. I don't know if you've seen yourself lift, but goals.
Thank you. Like I have to work the event, sometimes I think about maybe I'll deadlift or something, but
You're constantly running. You're getting pulled in every single direction. Not so subtly, I want to shout out and just showcase, if you will, how strong you are. Have you competed recently?
yeah, I competed in December, the first weekend in December in Florida. I did my first wrapped squat meet. So I did raw with wraps. I don't know when I'll do that again. It's just a lot of work. Yeah, I squatted 512 pounds. So I got that 500 on the platform. My bench, I've just sort of been dealing with a little bit of just, I'm not going to call myself injured, but, it's a little sore all the time. And then my deadlift, I'm just always looking, a 9 for 9 is so elusive. Yeah, I think I hit my opener on the deadlift at 540. My number one goal was to pull 600 because I think I got it in me, but you never know what's going to happen on meet day.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I thought that there was going to be I don't know, maybe 4 women pulling 600 that day. I don't know. I think only one did, but it was still only one woman pulled 600. Apologies if there were 2. I don't want to dull anyone's shine.
I mean, I have no doubts. I am confident that you have a 600-pound pull in you. You're pretty freaking strong. I will say that. Just hold on a second. You had a 540 opener.
I know, I was so scared, but then my coach was like, well, yeah, if you're going to pull 600, you have to open it. And so then, the wheels start turning and I accept that.
Is that the best pull you've ever had in competition?
Yeah, I thought that I have pulled more, or I thought that was a full power PR. But I actually pulled 540 as a third attempt. I think in 2024. And in early 2025, I did one of my friend in Portland, I did one of her inclusive meets and I did a push pull and I pulled 567 pounds. And that one was the one that told me that, I can lift 600 because I felt like I maybe could that day.
Be still my heart, my Lanta. That's amazing. The environment you're talking about with that push-pull meet, it's like you probably could have deadlifted 700 pounds that day with the energy, right?
Yeah, honestly, everyone from the crowd we all would have done it together.
I think if you have 300 people in unison saying up, I do think that magic happens.
Yeah.
It's like, can you take me higher?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Let feather stiff as a board. Yeah, we'll try that next time.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll count. They'll red light you for new IPF rule. They'll red light you if you have witchcraft helping you do a deadlift.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any opinions on the IPF?
Just going straight for it, huh? The IPF was a big part of my journey because I was an IPF girly because USAPL was part of the IPF. And then when they split off at some point, I joined the US Virgin Islands to remain part of the IPF because that was a route that could be taken. And so I lifted for them for 2 years. I never went to Worlds because 1 year it was canceled, I think because of COVID. And then the next year I gave my spot to someone else. And what was it, 2022 or 3? I don't know. I did a meet in Indianapolis with some of the gals from Fortress. And I just wasn't thinking about it, I guess. I didn't have too much loyalty to a federation. I had rescinded my IPF membership by then. I was just wanted to do meets that were fun and closer. I didn't want to have to travel, so far to compete. And yeah, I was kind of feeling a little lost in powerlifting, I guess, at that time. And so I wanted to do a meet with some friends. And so that was really fun. Then I went and did a Powerlifting America meet because I was thinking, I'll go back in the IPF. And later that same calendar year, and then I qualified for nationals the next year. I had such a good prep for that nationals. I would have won. I would have went to Worlds that year for America. I think so. I believe so, because I had such a good prep. But then 2 weeks before nationals, the Federation Powerlifting America emailed me and told me that I had violated their Article 14. It's Article 15 now. So I was no longer eligible for nationals. And so when that happened, I really kind of wrote off the IPF and wanted to, again, like rediscover, like have fun powerlifting again, because that was such a huge blow to no longer have that opportunity to go to nationals anymore.
What exactly was Article 14 is Article 15?
The way it impacted me was that because I did a USPA meet, the meet in Indianapolis was a USPA meet, because I did that, and I think in March of whatever year, and then the next year nationals was in February. And so you have to wait 1 calendar year before doing like a national level meet. And so I was not eligible to do a national level Powerlifting America meet until like late March. So just after nationals. So just, I didn't realize that timeline. I thought I had already rescinded. I had emails showing that I rescinded my membership, but that's just not the way that it worked. So I think I did Goddesses after that, maybe that same year. And I think I went 3 for 9 and won best lifter, but
I was there, can confirm.
I cried so hard afterwards. I was just so embarrassed. And now I look back and it's like, it sucked, but it's like crying when you get a B on your test. I mean, I don't like that article. I think that I don't like the way it affected me personally. And I think that it goes against, my whole like journey and my worldview in powerlifting that I've shared so far of getting more people into the sport and being more inclusive. And if this rule prohibits someone from going to an inclusive event, lifting in an unsanctioned event, sometimes even participating in other ways, depending on how it's seen by whoever's in charge, to me, that doesn't like really align with being able to grow the sport in other ways, really being stuck in that federation. If you want to compete at a high level within that federation, making sure you only stay within that federation, where not everyone is allowed, not everyone is included, like in practice or, like practically. So I still think that the IPF has its place. I still think that there are, I don't know. I used to go back and forth. I was really mad for a while. I am mad at every federation, honestly. None of them are good enough for me. I think a lot of them, they're all too exclusive or just run by weirdos. But now the way I look at it, it's just impossible to draw all those red lines if you want to compete at a high level. So I feel like if I want to find competition, I have to make some concessions in terms of where I compete. And it's not always good. I don't always like where I compete and the different meets that I go to. I don't know. Sometimes I regret doing a meet just when I show up on meet day, and it's just such like a culture shock to me. Now I just think, like, especially if you are just like Gen Pop, most lifters out there compete where it's closest and easiest for you to get there on meet day. If there's, meet down the road, but it's some federation that you've never heard of or something. Now that I see that people do that and they're so much happier. and now that I do that myself, and I do travel, I still travel for meets, but now it's usually, is it a meet that I'm going to win money at? Then I'll make the trip. I'll take that gamble. Or if it's an inclusive meet that I want to support, then I try and balance that now. There's so many different federations. They all have their different rules, kind of. It's a lot of them are the same rules, but just different nuances, different people showing up in those federations if they have, if they're loyal to them, and different opportunities at a higher level. I think it really is where it separates, where it really matters. I used to be really loyal to a federation, but now I'm not. That's what I'm saying.
I hear you. My first thought is how dumb that article is because it's not like it changes, one month later. It's like, what's the difference other than the time on the calendar? That's it. And it's so stupid. I'm I am genuinely mad for you. I know that you're past it, but to have the opportunity where you were pretty confident you were going to go to Worlds. I mean, to have that taken away fucking sucks.
Yeah. I mean, just the opportunity to, roll the dice. Anything can happen on meet day. Maybe I don't make weight or I like tear something on the squat and I don't do as well as I thought, but I felt so good before then, where I got that email.
Mm. I think to your point, I think there's different types of power lifters. Actually, we know there's different types of power lifters. There are some power lifters who they like to stay local to where they're at. It is just easier. It's more convenient. It's whatever. And then you have the people who are kind of like me, where I'm like, I am like a mid lifter. I'm just here to have fun, wear some costumes, and have a good time with my girls. Like,
Okay, you don't say mid and then follow the sentence with that.
I mean, like, I'm just here to have fun,
Yeah.
and do my best, by golly. So I will travel, and drive 11 and a half hours to go do a powerlifting meet because if the vibes are right, the vibes are right.
Yeah, I'll travel with friends for sure.
And then there's the other types of powerlifters that are making money at meets. And I believe you've done that, haven't you?
Yeah, I won 2 meets. I won money. I won a amateur day down in Florida, $500, and then I did the Power Surge 2024. I won second. I won $1,000. Immediately lost the check after leaving the gym.
Oh, you
I got
literally
it back. I got it back, but
oh, thank God. I was
yeah,
gonna
it
say,
was.
oh no, that's terrible.
Yeah, so next time I'll, give it to someone else more responsible.
Listen, don't take this as me being like a fangirl or whatever. I mean, I am, but like that's not what this is. I just want to really emphasize how fucking strong you are. Because what's your best squat? Raw, like in sleeves.
480,
And then in wraps was
512,
baller as fuck, cool. And then bench.
286,
I've been stuck at 165 for like way too long. Anyway, and now deadlift. Remind me, I'm sorry.
567.
If you feel comfortable saying, what weight class do you compete in?
Now I am in the 165 weight class. I'm usually I'm running a lot more this
Oh,
year, and so I'm open to dropping a weight class or something. I'm not really tracking any macros right now or anything. I don't think my weight's moving right now. It's not something I pay attention to at all until I'm like a month out. I don't step on the scale.
I can respect that. Relatable.
Like, that's none of my business.
Oh, hell yeah. The only
Yeah.
time I need to know, I go to my nutritionist and I'm like, probably like, it depends. It's the whatever appointment, whatever weeks out it is before the meet. And I'm just like, Carolyn, can you just tell me how much I weigh so that I know when I go into weigh-ins, like, and I'm not surprised. And she's like, yeah, this is where you're at. And it's like, okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said that and then it triggered my brain. When did you start getting into running more frequently?
Okay, so 2021, I went on a huge hike with my ex, and it was 25 miles in 2 days. It was like 7,000 feet. And on day one, we're just dying on the trail. And this lady runs past us with like a little handheld water bottle and just like spandex everything. And I'm like, this bitch. She gets to see all this beauty and she doesn't have to lug all this shit. She is just doing this in a day. And so I couldn't stop thinking about that woman and just everything that she was able to do because she was good at trail running, like being able to see all those different places in a shorter amount of time sounded really good to me. And so after I moved to Colorado, I started running a little bit. I signed up for a trail Ragnar relay, which in like Zion, Utah, just with a bunch of strangers that I met in like a women's fitness online forum group. And that was really fun. Everyone was so nice on the trail and just like nice to each other in that race environment. And so that's been a fun learning thing too, just like seeing what other like organized sports do and how those cultures are. I signed up for another in the Colorado mountains organized race. And then that was like a couple years ago. And then last year I signed up for a 50K, which is 30 miles in Montana in August. The race was in August. And then I was like half-assing my training. And then I did the Grand Canyon hike with some friends and got airlifted out. We made it all the way down, I think 14 miles from the North Rim down to Phantom Ranch is just like on the river down there. And then crossing the river and coming up, I just started throwing up and kept throwing up and wasn't keeping anything down, just losing all my fluids. And I couldn't make it. I hiked like 4 miles, just having to stop like every 100 yards. And then it was just getting shorter and shorter. I could barely hold myself up. It was so bad. Luckily, I was with a group who were just my guardian angels. And then there was another lady on the trail who had a Garmin beacon. So she was able to send texts and stuff. And it was actually kind of a struggle to get airlifted out. They wanted me to sleep on the floor, just like on the ground in this kind of rest area thing. But I was not making it. It was so bad. It was so bad. Everyone thought maybe I was going to die. Maybe there was a chance. Just all my friends. I just thought it was just so bad. It felt terrible. And then I got a free helicopter ride, my first helicopter ride, taxpayer funded, thank you, to the South Rim, I think. And then I went to the emergency room in Flagstaff, and it was a long day. Yeah, after that was in May, and with the race in August, it didn't really make sense anymore. So I deferred it to this year, starting in like the last week of December, since I competed in the first weekend of December, and the last weekend of December, I kicked off like formal training, and I feel pretty good already for it, just where I'm at. And it's a lot of fun just getting out there. I do feel like I'm seeing a lot of beauty in a shorter amount of time. So I'm hitting those goals. I'm excited to get into some longer runs, because then I'll be able to travel like a little bit, maybe in the mountains, and get some more of that. And it's been really helpful with learning how to eat when I'm exercising, which I've struggled with a lot with powerlifting. And now I'm trying to take some of these things that I learned from running and eating, and like making sure I have electrolytes and sodium and what kinds of carbs and when, and the timing of things, and just getting my stomach like used to exercising and eating, because on meet day, I'm always just, like, I don't want anything. And I'm so nervous. I'm not hungry. I'm like gagging on yogurt or whatever. And I still do that, but now it's, there's some more things now. I have like goos and, little gummies that are just easier to eat.
Sam Newton just popped up and said, "You need a little snack."
Yeah, now I always have these goos on me, and like in my car, in different pockets. Now I don't have an excuse. I can be eating.
I'm just happy that everything worked out okay with your Grand Canyon trip and hike. I'm glad you're all right. Now, the other thought that I genuinely did have, how do you balance being like a high-level power lifter and also a pretty high-level runner?
Honestly, a lot of it was mental. Like, until this year, I didn't think it was necessary or possible to run 3 times a week while lifting 4 times a week. And I just didn't want to, I think. It has been a little bit of an adjustment, because I really just wanted to run twice a week. but I don't think I was going to get where I wanted to go just twice a week. So I just sort of wrote myself a 3-day a week outline, and it was an adjustment, but now it's definitely turned into that, like, I can't function now if I don't go to the gym, and like I need to plan out my runs and where I'm going to go and which gym days I'm going to do and which runs I'm going to do like the week ahead, and I need to know my routine for the week. And now if something gets in the way, I can't handle that. So it took a little bit of that conditioning, but that's how I balance it now.
I too love a routine. Do you lift really early?
Not so early anymore. Maybe like 7 o'clock I get to the gym. I know that's pretty early to some people, but
It's me. I'm some people. Okay, before I forget, I have a couple of questions I like to ask people. Before I do that, was there anything else that you had wanted to expand on, tangentialize on, anything?
I think when we were talking about different federations and talking about like either being loyal to a federation or, maybe just loyal to like your geographical area or something important that I've learned is that I think a lot of people, it's easy to get like kind of think that your corner of powerlifting is what powerlifting is. And it can be really discouraging for some people. And it can also be, it can feel like that's what powerlifting is. And like you're at the apex because you know what the sport is and it's very clear to you. And I think sometimes it's a product of having so many different federations, is that there's not like a cohesive message of powerlifting in this country. There's not like the main powerlifting federation in the country that everyone sort of funnels up to worlds or something. It's easy to see that there's so many different cultures within powerlifting in this country, and also maybe only see your own and think that that's it. But something I've learned from traveling and from, especially just from going to different unsanctioned events and different federations, is that it is just such a big world out there. And there are so many different people and so many different environments. And I think it's really, I've had a good opportunity. I understand that I have a lot of privilege being able to travel for powerlifting, and being strong in the sport, I think gives me a lot of privilege as well to be in these different spaces. But I just hope that if it does seem like, powerlifting is one thing and one thing only, it's not. And I hope that like social media also presents that opportunity. It's easy to lose the forest for the trees, and there's so much opportunity out there for this sport. It can grow in so many ways, and it is at the top level, at the bottom level, and I'm excited. I know some corners of powerlifting where I would love to live there and lift with those people every day, and I would feel so happy, but I know that is not available to everyone.
So, my question for you, Madeline, I want you to look back in your whole fitness journey. And I want to know, have you ever had a what the fuck was I thinking moment?
Oh my God. Well, yeah. Frick, that wouldn't hurt someone that I like's feelings. Just like I have my regrets, but I don't want anyone else to think that I regret something because they influenced me. But sometimes it's what the fuck was I thinking doing that meet in Indianapolis, honestly, because I would have had a different trajectory. But it's a good one. I really thought you were going to ask, like, what was your favorite moment? But now it's, yeah. What was your biggest regret? Oh my God. Some of the coaches I've had, sometimes I look back and it's like, why did I not fire them way sooner? Yeah, you got to put yourself first.
I think that's a good lesson for all of us to learn. One of my other favorite questions to ask is, do you have a gimmick and would you like to share it?
A gimmick?
Yeah.
What is that?
So, like, an example I think about is, like the guy who shows up and he's always wearing jeans.
Okay.
Or like a good example I got was people who have personal phone calls
during.
Gym-ick, 2 different words.
Yes.
Oh my God,
I'm so
you were
sorry.
saying like gym gimmick and like, okay, like the whole thing that I do.
I love that though. Hold on.
Okay, gimmick and gym-ick. Okay.
Yes. I love it.
Okay. Well, my gym-ick. I hate when people take the safeties out of the rig, of the rack before they bench or before they do anything. And yeah, I used to be such like a gym elitist with like the different equipment that I use. And now when I see other people like their plates have to be the same brand, or they have to use the same equipment. They have to put carpet on the deadlift platform, locks on the barbells, huge icks for me, because like it goes against, powerlifting should be for everyone. I share my equipment, which I went through that phase, like I said, but now when I see other people in phases that I grew out of, that's an ick.
We have the gift of hindsight,
Yeah.
and wisdom.
Yeah. Like what the fuck was I thinking being that person? But now it's because I was in my 20s too. I was a junior lifter at one point. Okay, for a gimmick though?
Yes. So for clarification, a gimmick is like a gym gimmick, you're saying?
Yeah, a
Like,
gym gimmick.
I'm here for this. Because I'm gonna, after you do yours, I think I'm gonna say, I have to think of mine, but I think I know what I'm gonna say.
Which like a gimmick is like a getup, right? Like a thing, like a bit.
Yeah, like a bit. Yeah.
Now I'm just like questioning what gimmick even means. I would say my gimmick is probably just like everything I do with conjugate. Everything's just kind of weird and confusing. And then wearing clothing with a message and putting gay tape and stickers all over my equipment. Yeah, I think that's my gimmick.
I fucking love that. I fully support that. I mean, my gimmick, I think, would have to be color coordinated outfits. Yeah, for sure. But also my switch from hanging out, having a good time to, all right, let's go.
Honestly, it's so nice to have multiple gimmicks. Some people are so boring.
Yeah.
And yeah, just the color coordination and like, yeah, being vibrant is just wonderful to see. I love it. I love your vibe.
Oh, thank you. Because not to be like a fangirl again or anything, but that orange look, you and Jack, the clown hooker look, it was just, you guys inspired me.
Good. Yeah, it's so much fun to have fun.
Hot take, it is really fun to have fun sometimes.
Because otherwise, like, I don't look good when I'm doing the lifts,
It's just, you're just decorating your avatar however you want to that day,
Yeah, I love when girls show up on meet day and they have like colorful hair, they've got their makeup all done, they got their platform pictures, and they're gonna look good. Because it is just, yeah, they bring the style, honestly.
I truly appreciate having you on. Can you say your socials again?
Yeah, so I am only on Instagram, strong like Madeline. That's Madeline.
What is your nonprofit's Instagram?
So Strength for All Bodies, our Instagram page is at Strength for All Bodies, all words spelled out. And then the website is strengthforallbodies.com. You want to email, it's hello@strengthforallbodies.com.
Well, I wish nothing but the best for you, and sending all the good vibes your guys' way at Strength for All Bodies, and also in your endeavors as you prepare for this 50K race.
Yeah. So that race, it's a trail race in Montana in August. And then I told my coach I'm competing like 7 weeks later I really want to do power surge again. I really like that meet. It was a lot of fun. I like the area, and yeah, I really want to go back. So,
ooh, hell yeah. Can't wait to see you dominate that one too.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right, Madeline.
If you enjoyed this episode, please follow, share, rate, and review. It helps the podcast grow and reach more people. Do you have any questions or suggestions? email me at musclesandmalarkey@gmail.com or find me on Instagram at musclesandmalarkey. Yeehaw and yee-claw, everybody.